Hello my lovely people, welcome to the House of Bellator. I am Tatiana and today we will be making a recipe fit for the Queen. Many of you guys know that I love to bake. It's a huge part of my life. It's always been a huge part of my life, and this is probably the most exciting baking challenge I've taken on, as this competition is being held by Fortnum and Mason and the Jubilee Lunch. So it's Fortnum and Mason and the Big Jubilee Lunch to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which is 70 years on the throne. So to mark the special occasion, people across the kingdom have been asked to create the perfect pudding for the Queen. I feel I should clarify that in England we call pretty much any dessert a pudding. I mean, pudding is a dessert, but not all desserts are puddings. If you go into somebody's house in the UK and they say it's time for pudding and they bring you ice cream, then yes, that's considered pudding, but pudding is also a traditional form of cake. I read a bit about it and it turns out that in the working class they would call this a pudding because you would blend in different ingredients and breadcrumbs normally. And it was sort of a way to distinguish lower class desserts and upper class desserts, but nowadays it's just not like that at all. And this traditional form of pudding in this rounded sort of mold is what I will be doing for this challenge. Pudding. Probably Harley Quinn was talking about this type of pudding, but yeah, who knows what the culinary scene in Gotham City would be like. So okay, let's get back to the competition. What's really exciting about this is that the winning pudding will be served at different parties and celebrations across the country celebrating the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and the winning recipe could also potentially be mass produced and sold by Fortnum and Mason online, which, oh my god, would be such a dream come true. Just imagine that. Before we make my recipe and go over the concept and story behind my pudding, let's go over the competition rules, shall we? What? I'm in Buckingham Palace! Now it's time to read the rules. Rule number 1 is that you're gonna have fun. Come on guys, we've got to have fun. If not, why are we doing this? Rule number 2, the pudding must have a memorable story. Rule number 3, must be simple enough for the general public. So I'm guessing no fancy gadgets like liquid nitrogen and blow torches. Rule number 4, it must be genuine, accurate and original, handmade by the applicant. What? I was gonna get my servants to do it. What? This is ridiculous. Oh. I love the Queen, I love everything about her, I love how dedicated she is to the country, but I wanted to do something that's her and uniquely hers. Whenever I think of the Queen, I think of colour and fun. You know, she's known for being so colourful and bright and happy, and it's sort of her trademark. I also love her handbags. She herself said that if she one day wore beige, just all beige, nobody would know who she is. So from the moment that I decided to enter this competition, I knew that my pudding had to be very colourful and bright and contrasting. Most of these celebrations will be held during the summer, which is why I want some really fresh and summery flavours. Even the Queen herself changed her birthday to be celebrated in the summer, so that's pretty significant. From the very beginning, I knew that I wanted my pudding to be purple. I mean, it's the most royal of all colours, and it's the colour of the robe that the Queen wore at her coronation in 1953. And when do you see purple desserts? I mean, it's so unique and it's so beautiful. I was also looking at the Platinum Jubilee merchandise, and it is to die for. I mean, it's the most beautiful designs in purple and gold. So I said, I've got to have purple and gold in my dessert. I really wanted to be holding one of those teacups in this video, but it's sold out, and I already signed up for them to notify me when they restock, but they haven't done that, and it's been like 3 weeks. Oh! Anyway, my pudding will be purple at the base, representing the Queen's robe, and on the top I'll be having a golden syrup representing the Queen's crown and all of the gold details and gold thread that went on her robe on that very special day. Now it's boiling, you can see the sugar has completely dissolved, and I thought that it would turn gold pretty much immediately, but that did not happen. I was waiting and waiting. I had some time to scroll on TikTok, loads of TikToks.
I shall eat a parry.
Made myself some tea, drank it, kept waiting. Then I got to hoovering my kitchen. And then... oh my gosh, it's finally turning gold! Ooh, okay. I can maybe use this to make that Squid Game cookie. Oh my god. This has become useless to me as a syrup, so I might as well turn it into some form of honeycomb by placing it in a pan and letting it cool. Look at how badly it has stuck already. I do not even want to think about having to clean this right now. For the second round of syrup, my tactic will be to use equal parts sugar and equal parts water. This is how I've always done it. I don't know why I did it differently this time. I'm trying what was supposed to be the honeycomb, but I don't know what it is, but it just tastes of nothing at the beginning, and then you just get this huge, overpowering taste of sugar at the end, which is so strong. Nope.
Not a pleasure to eat.
We don't talk about Bruno, no. As you can see, the passion fruit and the syrup are not blending well, and oh my god, it's starting to thread. No, this is not going to work. I've got some sugar lumps like this one right here, so I am going to have to redo it. What I have decided to do is to incorporate the passion fruit juice into the very beginning of the syrup process. And this is probably the worst mistake I've ever made in my entire journey as a home baker, and you're about to see why in 3, 2... Guys, this is bad. Look what's happened. It just poured out and now all of the sugar is on the burner. I've already turned it off and I've opened my window. Oh, I really hope the fire alarm doesn't go off. What did you do? Don't worry, it's fine, it's just some burnt sugar. I'm going to the pub. I'm so proud of Odette going to the pub, embracing English culture. And guess who's got to clean that? I'm literally on my way to open all of the windows in my house as it's just all filling up with fog right now, and the smell is not very nice, you know, burnt sugar and plastic and whatnot. So yes, I decided against doing a syrup from scratch, as I remember that in the rules they say that this recipe should be easy for anyone at home to make, and I truly do not want to be responsible for the next Great Fire of London, which interestingly happened in the year 666. I still really want to use passion fruit. It's the perfect flavor for what I want. It's exotic and sweet and acid, and it's just such a lovely and underused fruit, I think. Instead, I'm doing a passion fruit custard, which is a twist on a very British thing, which is normally served with pudding. So I thought it's perfect and it'll make the loveliest complement to my pudding. Like I said, I really want this component to be gold to represent the crown and all of that gold embroidery in the Queen's dress and her robe. So I added a bit of turmeric to make it this bright yellow, which I love. I'm just going to let it sit for a few hours and just see how it tastes, as spices can really intensify over time, so that's very important to test out. In the end, I did like the turmeric, but I just didn't think it was quite right for this recipe, and it didn't quite go with the flavors that I had, so I decided to do another passion fruit custard, but just leave it plain and simple with no turmeric this time. And yeah, it's perfect. It's not too sweet, it's not too acid, and I love how it came out.
This is better.
Did you know that the coronation was set to take place on June the 2nd, 1953, because it was the day where it was the least likely for it to rain? But still, we're in England, so it rained. It rained and it rained? Get it? I feel we've been talking too much about the complementing element to the pudding and not the actual pudding, so let's get to that. Like I said, I really want my pudding to be purple. I originally wanted to achieve this by mixing in beets and berries, different types of berries, and it did look right in the batter. When I mixed it up, it was a gorgeous purple color, but then when I baked it, first of all, it was underbaked, and yeah, the color was not this purple that I wanted. It was this sort of grayish sponge. So yes, that was a definite no. I had to go another route. The cake didn't work, the syrup didn't work, the custard didn't work. So at this point, I decided to completely change the concept of my pudding. I still very much want a purple cake for the robe, and I want a crown. I want something that's gold and shiny on the top to represent the crown. At this point, it had been like 2 or 3 days of me dedicating my time to making the perfect pudding. And I felt like I was so close yet so far. Then it hit me. I remember that in Asian cuisine, this type of sweet potato powder called ube is used a lot in different desserts and sweets to give it this rich purple color, which is exactly what I'm looking for. And one evening I was just brainstorming and I remembered that the Queen's favorite drink is this lovely French drink called Dubonnet. So the way they make it is 2 parts Dubonnet, 1 part gin, and a slice of orange. So I would take orange slices, I would marinate them in this cocktail, the Queen's favorite cocktail, along with some golden syrup, and that will be my crown. Just imagine that. I mean, such a zesty, lovely flavor to go with the ube and the passion fruit. I mean, yes.
That's interesting.
All across the robe, you've got these olive branches, which are to symbolize prosperity and peace. And let's not leave the dress aside. It has symbols of all of the Commonwealth nations. Nowadays, I think there's like 50 Commonwealth nations, but I'm sure it was a different number back then. But they did such a brilliant job with that dress. And I hear a commotion for the dress. I didn't want anything like a dense sort of Christmas pudding. I wanted something light, fluffy, summery that would just melt in your mouth, you know? So I decided to use less flour and add cream cheese, as well as beat the egg whites and yolk separately. That way it could be very, very fluffy. I swear it's the best technique. If you want to make a very nice sponge cake, just whip up the egg whites separately. It'll be a game changer. It's also so important that you do this in a water bath. This will maintain an equal temperature in the oven and it won't allow for the cake to get too hot. And you can apply this technique to pretty much any cake and it'll be so moist and light. I highly recommend it. Of course, all of the ingredients have to be easily accessible to anyone in the general public. I got my ube off of Amazon. So here the color is a very important thing. So if you can't find the ube, then just use purple food coloring, it'll be fine. The flavors will still be there and yeah. Now let it cool for about 20 minutes and it's the moment of truth.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
You can see that it's purple, you can compare it to what I'm wearing, and it's yellow, gold on the top, and that's the crown. So, guys, I'm so happy. You can see by my face that I was so shocked and happy that it had worked. It was exactly what I had envisioned and so much better even. I mean, that color, oh my gosh, I was so scared of it changing in the oven. Or I was also scared of it sinking sort of in the middle since it doesn't really have a lot of flour in it to give it structure. But I think it's a very, very good mix. Now I'm going to transfer it into this nice vintage 1940s cake stand that I got on Etsy. I'll link the shop down below in the description box and yeah, let's do it. Now I just really hope it tastes nice. And there we've got it, the final one. And we've got our lovely little passion fruit custard to go with it. I can't wait to try this. Let's try it now. Yeah, it's what I had envisioned. I absolutely love the crunch from the passion fruit. I think it makes such a difference. I'm so glad that I've had the little seeds inside.
I had an awful lot of orange in here and I can certainly taste it and I like it.
But we're not quite done yet, as I did have to remake the pudding another 3 times, as I still had to determine the baking time and temperature. As the first time I made it, I was taking it in and out of the oven. I was testing different temperatures, so I really didn't know what to write down in the recipe for the cooking time. But I finally got it and I'm super happy and proud. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this process. I had so much fun creating this pudding. I love these types of challenges. You can leave me suggestions as to what you would like me to create next. I always love a challenge. Maybe I could do something for Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day. Why not? I mean, I'm totally up for it. I've been going through so many different changes in my life these past few months and I've sort of left content creation aside, which I love creating content, guys. It would honestly mean everything to me if you just leave me a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on all of my socials. You can also leave suggestions for my comedy skits and my characters. I'm always open to that. See you next time!